Really nice looking fish.
Wow, that's a trophy. Get up there.
That's a hog.
Woo! Nice job, you two. There we go.
Lund Boats proudly presents the ultimate fishing experience. This week on Lund's The Ultimate Fishing Experience, we're heading to Leech Lake in north central Minnesota, where we join up with Toby Kvalevog and Jason Freed of Leisure Outdoor Adventures. Based out of Chase on the Lake Resort on beautiful Walker Bay, Toby and Jason are involved in a lot more than just guiding on Leech. Unable to leave the teaching trade behind for the summer break, Jason and Toby host the Ultimate Fishing Camp each year with hands-on, on-the-water instruction from many of the top Lund Pro staff. So get ready for your exclusive day on the water with two Leech Lake Walleye pros.
You can try all different kinds of presentations and catch a lot of walleyes just like this one.
Yeah, that's a beauty. Nice job, buddy.
Thanks, job.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jason Freed.
And I'm Toby Kvalevog. We're with Leisure Outdoor Adventures, and we're up here. It's mid-June. We're on Leech Lake. Today we're going to go out to Leech Lake and see if we can catch a bunch of walleyes, show you the versatility of the lake, and also the versatility of the 2075 Pro V.
This is one of the best times of year to be on Leech Lake because you can catch fish so many different ways. We're going to go out and see what we can do.
And I'm going to catch more than he does.
So you know, Toby, when people call me every year to book our trips with our guide service, they always ask, what's the best time of year to be on Leech Lake? And I tell them, there's 2 months you want to make sure you're on Leech Lake, May and June.
Primarily, it's just because of the fact that the fish are off spawn and now they're trying to gorge themselves, and all the you know, the young of the year fish populations haven't hatched yet totally, or at least not consumable. So you have your shiner run, that's May, that's what you're talking about, and then you have bug hatches, and here we are mid-June and the mayflies are starting to pop.
And one of the cool things about Leech Lake, it's, you know, over 110,000 acres. And it's not like you are just fishing one kind of structure. The lake is full of structure, and this time of year you can go out to the big part of the lake and you've got rock reefs and you got long break lines and you got transition areas, which is areas we'll focus on with rock and mud. But you can get into areas like Walker Bay where it's more sand, sand grass and weed transition areas. And so that's the fun part about the lake, is it's all these different little lakes all put into one giant lake, and so it makes for a really, really diverse lake come fishing. But the one thing it has in common is it has a lot of walleyes and a lot of big walleyes.
You know, we've had an early morning bite that's in the sand, and it's actually gone throughout the day, but with the cloud cover, I think that would be a good place to start. You know, we can throw artificials, and if that's not happening, we'll know pretty fast. I mean, typically we get them quick.
Yep. But when we fish this shallow structure though, it's the key to it all is right here, your electronics, and being able to find these weed edges, because that's where the fish are relating to. If we can get them going on the reaction bite right away, that makes for a quick and fast bite, which can be a lot of fun.
This is Chuck on Leech. He's also a member of the Leisure Outdoor team. He's with his dad and his boy, and I think he snagged a crayfish. He hasn't caught a walleye all year.
If it's a crayfish in a Ham's beer can, it's mine.
Oh.
The real pro in the boat's the one in the middle though.
Attaboy.
So this is a big sand flat here. It's about 10, 11 feet. And so we got, like I said, the benefit of the system here is I can switch over from my SmartCraft. So I got those, and I can switch over to here, and now I've got all 4 windows that I want to see. So what we're looking for is basically sand, weed edges. So there's sand grass, or chara as they call it. And we're just looking for these edges here.
And what we're able to do is actually locate the fish up to 100 feet out to the side of the boat with the side scan imagery, and go ahead and waypoint those spots, put the trolling motor down, and then go ahead and flip our presentation to those fish. This is down scan. You can see the weed edges here transition to sand. Then you go over the weeds and that transitions to sand. And on the side scan imagery, you can see the weeds in relationship to the sand. And in these little locations next to the weeds, we're looking for white spots on the side scan. And we had some fish just up here, and I'm just going to roll back over them again. But
It's like a nice little pod of fish.
a nice little pod there.
Another one
Maybe a better one up there. 53 feet to our right. You could just imagine if you were a deer hunter or somebody hunting, you know, these little bottlenecks and locations like that. This is where we find the fish today. You know, sometimes we find the fish in the middle of the sand, but today, and a lot of times this year, we find that the fish are holding really tight from the grass to the sand transition areas.
Smallmouth bass fishing doesn't always mean targeting rocky areas. Grass flats and grass lines often load up with smallmouth, especially when they're keying in on bait fish. Search for bass by graphing the outer weed line with split-screen 2D sonar and downscan imaging. The Lowrance Hook 2 features wide-angle chirp sonar, which doubles the sonar coverage of most fish finders, while downscan provides highly detailed imaging of the grass and fish. This makes for a deadly search and find combo. Drop waypoints on obvious fish, then take to the bow. A drop shot rig is an excellent way to mimic bait fish while keeping your plastic above the cover and in the strike zone. A cylinder weight fishes clean through grass, while the VMC Neko hook delivers exceptional hooking percentages with little damage to the fish. Just make sure to keep the weight on the bottom and jerk the slack to get the maximum action out of the bait.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
Best part about this kind of fishing is when we guide people. It's super easy. It's super easy to teach. You know, something like jig wrapping. Some people look at it and it can be kind of almost intimidating for people to watch you jig wrap because it looks hard and it's physical. But to be able to just give them a simple jig and basically just telling them you're going to pitch it out, you're just going to slowly drag it back to the boat, and it's amazing how quickly people can pick up on that. And knowing as fishing guides, this is the classroom. You know, the guiding is the classroom, and so it's gratifying when you teach somebody a presentation or a technique, or you talk about what the bite's going to feel like, and then kind of teaching them and coaching them through the whole process to see them actually do it. And then it's like in the classroom, you know, you teach a kid how to do something, or on the field or on the ice if you're coaching hockey like Toby does, and a kid figures out how to do something and then they start being successful. Same goes for fishing. When you teach somebody how to do something and then they can learn it, light bulb comes on, and then it's fun because then the rest of the day they've got it figured out and they're catching a lot more fish and they're having a lot more fun. And so that's where teaching, coaching, and guiding kind of all come together into one model. And I think that's why I see so many fishing guides are also teachers. And I think they just go hand in hand, and the gratification of teaching somebody how to do something and then watching them have success doing it really makes for a fun day on the water.
Every day, whether it's just one big giant fish or it's the one that got away, there's a memory that is made, and it makes that whole educational process of the day just that much better, because it's special out here, and we love that as teachers because we get to teach people and we get to share those special moments. So Leech Lake's just a great place. We've made a lot of memories here, and it's just special. Bring him right over here. Oh, that's a nice
same size
fish.
as you just caught.
We're going to keep Eddie today.
Well, you know.
You dirty dog. We're tied up at 1-1 here.
There we go.
So the old
Same
artificial
size.
wasn't going yet. It's a nice one. You can throw him back.
Yeah.
We don't need to eat him that bad. Nice job, Jason. Well, explain to me what you were doing. What did you
Well,
change?
like I said, we're sight fishing here, so it's just a lot like bass fishing. And as you can see, it's like Toby mentioned, it's kind of like an aqua effect where you can see the sand, and I literally just pitched it out. And there's like a little bottleneck right here. I just pitched it here, and that walleye was almost textbook. The walleye was just sitting right on the edge of the sand, picked it up, and he started swimming. It was almost like he just kept following the weed edge, and lo and behold, it's tough to beat a jig and a leech for a walleye fishing. I'm a mono guy when it comes to jig fishing, so you know it's 6 pound Berkeley Sensation on just a nice medium light rod, you know, about 6'3" or so, 6'6", and just spooled up there with, like I said, 6-pound Sensation on Abu Garcia, then just a small 1/16 ounce jig and a leech. And I like orange in here, or rust kind of colors, because there's a lot of crayfish in here. So, and I think what happens is it's all response to them. And when they see that thing dragging through the sand, which is just what a crayfish kind of just moves through the sand, they see that puff of sand. That's why jigging Raps work, because when those things are popping and hitting the sand, it turns into a reaction bite. So, as you said, if the jig Raps aren't going, and I think it's nice to slow down, whether it's a slip bobber, a jig and a leech, and just working these edges. And I think as that sand is being moved, and as they see this, it mimics a crayfish, and they come in, they scoop it up, and it's never a hard bite. It's just typically a pick it up, and they run and pull with it, and you just give them a little bit of a rod tip and set the hook.
Where is he? There it is. Nice fish, Jason.
Yeah, about 17-incher. Said, getting a little bigger. One thing I found this year is if you start marking bait, you're almost best just to stop and start fishing, because there's probably fish within the area. And if you go over with your electric motor, you're far less likely to spook them than you are with your big motor. And so it's been one little thing I've tried to pick up on this year was, you know, you want to drive until you see fish, but sometimes when you drive until you see fish, you spook them, and then
You never see fish.
you never see them again.
You know, that's one thing we found too in that side imaging, that technology is, which we're doing today here a little bit, has really become important, because you don't necessarily have to drive over the fish or drive until you mark them underneath your boat with your traditional 2D sonar. We can find the fish off to the sides, and especially when they're in sand, they show up very well. So, like even with your traditional snap jigging, you throw it out and you just jig it until the boat's past it. And when your jig's behind the boat, you just kind of reel in like I'm doing and throw it out to the side again and slowly work it back. But that seems to have been far better this year for people in the boat than just fishing below the boat. This under 10-foot stuff, definitely a system that seems to work better, is to get it away from the boat, which makes sense. Okay, so what we're doing today is we're working this shallow water, and we really have a 3-step approach to finding fish. You know, day in, day out, when these fish are aggressive, it's really hard to beat artificial. When I say artificial, I'm talking about the jig and wrap that we've been casting. You know, we use a number 7. This happens to be the rainbow trout. Braided line, 10-pound test with a nice 10-pound fluorocarbon. We cast these out, jig real aggressively, and the fish just crack it. And it's so fun because we use braided line, so it instantly you know you got one on, and it's a good way to just cover water and catch fish. Now today we've been kind of strapped with cold fronts and pretty tough conditions, so we've been forced to, even though we've been able to catch a few fish with jig and wrap, what we found with the jig and wrap is we're finding the location by just bumping fish. Oh.
You need me to come up there?
Now you just stay back there. You're half the boat. You know, and what we do then is we'll try to just slow things down a little bit by putting on a small jig like this 16th ounce jig that I hook up with leech, cast in those same locations, work it real slow back, maybe even just let it settle into the sand and let it sit. And those fish will come over, investigate, and maybe take a little bite. And that seems to work really well on a lot of days too. It's a slower way to spread out and cast and fan cast and cover water, but it's just a little slower than jig and wrap. And then when things are really tough, like today, we can take a good old trusty, just a good old bobber rig and a same colored jig, same jig that we've used before. We'd like to use orange because of the crayfish, and just put a small leech on there. Toss the jig in the side location, just let that bobber sit, and that leech will just slowly swim right in front of their face, and it's just too much for them to resist. And, well, there we go. Bobber down. Oh, we still got him. Little operator error. Oh, it's just a little one. But you know what's cool about this is not a big one either. But we just talked about bumping fish with the jig wrap or the jig, and just slowing it down and finessing them, and just another nice eater, you know. And as guides here at Leisure Outdoor Adventures on Leech Lake, we pretty much have 3-4 rods set up for every system. So throwing jig wraps, found some fish over here, threw a jig and a leech earlier, Jason caught one, and I just threw a slip bobber across, which is an easy way to fish for kids, and pulled in a nice little eater, about a 14-incher, and would make a great little fish fry at home. So Many ways to skin a cat. We got them on jigs and leeches, jigs and bobbers, and even some jig wraps. Kind of cool, pretty fun. And that was the worst hook set ever, but we got them anyways. Remember to put the line in the roller. There's your pro tip of the day.
Yeah. So what we're doing here is we're just idling around until we connect with fish, and Toby just caught one, and so we got a bite, and we immediately were able to hit spot lock or anchor feature on the trolling motor. So and we just stop right there, and then allows us to kind of fan cast over that area. Because typically where there's one fish, there's more fish. And so with today's technology, whether it's using the spot lock features on your bow mount, using a talon on the back of your boat, those are going to give you a chance to be more specific on finding that spot on the spot and knowing that you're not going to move anywhere. You're going to be able to stay within an area that's going to allow you to catch a lot more fish.
I think we're going to give the sand a little time to marinate, let the water warm up shallow here. I've seen enough of these little ones, Jason. I'd like to maybe hear a little drag if we can.
I'm good with that. Let's change things up and let's go.
All right, man. That might put me over the top for today, by the way.
We were tied. I knew that.
You know, it's been a pleasure to fish in the boat for the first time. You know, one thing I noticed this boat has that we didn't have last year is these jump seats.
You know,
without having the extra seats back here, it's just a lot of room. I mean, I'm moving around back here. Because fishing's been a little tougher today, we have rods everywhere, and there's still plenty of room.
Yeah, that's been a pleasant addition to my boat this year, because what I said, I'm able to take seats out. I'm able to have different layouts, and you know, if I wanted to go muskie fishing, we just flip those seats down, and we got a bigger casting deck. But you know, when you have a family of 4, I can put everybody behind the windshield. I can have everybody has a seat. They're going to be comfortable, and it just creates even better experience especially when I'm guiding. I can store everything in here. I have all my bass stuff, I have all my walleye stuff, I have my trolling rods, and I've got room still that's empty. The boat provides everything for me. You know, when you guide on a lake like Leech Lake, you're going to have rough days, and being it's a 2075 and having the IPS 2 hull allows me to navigate through rough water, keep my customers dry, keep them safe. And so every day I get on the water, you might just say I smile and know that I'm getting in a boat that's going to make for a great experience on the water. One brand new thing I'm running this year on my 2075 Pro V, along with my 300 Mercury Verado, is the Vessel View program that Mercury and Lowrance teamed up on. And as a fishing guide, it gives me immediate feedback, just as you would get it with your SmartCraft gauges, but even more. And things I love to use probably the most is to be able to check just simple things like what my voltage is to make sure I'm not running out of battery juice, my fuel efficiency, how well I'm getting, you know, throughout the day with fuel. When I'm not using those gauges, I'm able to simply just go to the menu screen, and I can use it as a GPS, I can use it as a sonar, structure scan, all those other features. So it also doubles as a depth finder to go along with my carbon 12 here on my dash. If something does happen, what you're able to do is a warning will come up. You can call that in, and then they can kind of step you through and troubleshoot anything that you might run across as you're on the water, which gives a person a lot of peace of mind. Thoroughly impressed this year with what I've been able to do with this. And as I continue to learn, I think it's going to be a more and more important tool for me as a fishing guide and just as a fisherman and as a whole. You know, right now when we're Lindy rigging, it's important to have the right equipment. And when we're rigging, whether it's crawlers or leeches, or in Toby's instance over here, he's using a creek chub, it's important to have the right kind of rod. And so we like to use about a 7'6" medium light fast action or extra fast action rod because of the sensitive tip. You know, when you're rigging a red tail or a creek chub, to be able to feel that minnow swimming and kicking around and getting nervous helps you determine whether there's a fish nearby. And just otherwise, just that soft tip is more forgiving, especially when we're fishing with customers or trying to feel really light bites. But that brings to the point of, you know, in this boat, we have a rod locker that can hold up to 15 plus rods, as well as gunnel storage. And so as a fishing guide and as a tournament angler, to be able to have all these different presentations rigged up, whether it's slip bobbers, jig rods, Lindy rig rods, trolling rods, you know, all the different things you're going to need or possibly need throughout the day is going to make you much more efficient on the water. And so by being more efficient, having those rods without having to stop and re-rig those rods means you're going to have your line in the water more and have more opportunities to catch more fish. Better fish.
Nice. Well, you had some line out there, didn't you?
Yeah. You got a long line sometimes. Get away from the boat. Gonna be a netter. One of those
Nice.
rod benders.
Well, you know, this is what we like. After a day of getting the eaters, it's fun to come get a couple keepers. Let's get him in the boat. Oh, getting a little bigger too, isn't he? It's nice to have that platform to be able to get up there and
Sinker.
yeah. Well, that's a nice one. Yeah. Good job, Jason. That's one of those. Is that a 19-incher?
Pretty close.
That's a nice fish. Very nice
I'd say
fish.
it's
That's about
21.
yeah. I'm gonna go 19 and 7/8. But that's a nice fish, Jason. And boy, we just caught a bunch of keepers on bobbers and decided to go play bigs a little bit. That's definitely a bigger fish.
Yeah. Not a bad fish. Look at how pretty gold they are. Leech Lake gold right there. On a crawler. Good fish. Let's get this one back.
Hopefully, this is the ticket, Jason. We got to get a big one. I'm gonna go with the old lucky. You want to catch a big one?
Big bait.
Look at this. Look at this big chubby. Oh, that'll work. Color slimy and lively. You know, Jason, this time of year we've caught a lot of big fish on little spots like this. We're not that deep, but the wind's been blowing in. We're during that prime, and there's a nice little rock shelf right behind us. So we'll pull these big minnows right across that edge of rocks, the sand. Again, transitions. So we'll try it and see if we can get a big one. We've had a lot of big fish here over the years.
Well, we just marked that school of fish.
Yep,
Big walleye now.
I just got hit.
All right. I'll reel up. I'll look at the net.
Perfect. I'm gonna give him a little time. Big minnow.
Out.
Big something. Holy cow. We got a big fish. Just threw a chub on. We just tried another spot here. Acting like a walleye. That's acting like a walleye. Looks like a walleye. She is a walleye. Big one too. Go get her, Jake. Oh. Oh, that's a dandy, huh, buddy? Woo. Yeah, that's a good one. You want to get her for me?
I'll get her out.
Mr. Guide? What a fun day. Oh, Jace, I tell you what, this is so much fun. We started early, got a lot of small ones. We tried a couple things, got a little bit bigger, then we got a little bit bigger, then we finished our day finally with a big one. I don't know, that's got to be close to 25, 26 inches.
Well, you know, as coaches and teachers, we oftentimes talk about how persistence pays off.
Oh, absolutely.
And we were able to switch up tactics and caught some on crawlers and leeches and jigs, and we did everything.
Oh, it's fun. Yep.
That's the fun part. And we talked about earlier how you just can't, you just can't always try to do the same thing over and over. And that's the fun thing about Leech Lake is you can try all different kinds of presentations and catch a lot of walleyes just like this one.
Yep, that's a beauty. Nice job, buddy.
Good job.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like more information, check out lundboats.com or these other online outlets.